Hello, everybody. Mariner here. How are you doing? And welcome to Net That Haul and the matchup show for Gameweek 16. It is Gameweek 16, Gabe, isn't it?
I lose track of myself this time of year, but yeah, I believe it is Gameweek 16, yes.
I'm losing track of everything here. I'm losing track of sleep, the will to live. After my game week, 41 points, I think I'm ready for a Christmas break. The trouble is there's no such thing.
It's the opposite, right?
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things there. But anyway, we move. Let's get FPL saying out the way to start with. There's a rant coming later. Don't you worry about that. Gabe, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm kind of like you, kind of dragging a little bit this morning, lagging a little bit in general in life these days. It's like I can't keep up, you know. But I'm doing well. Obviously, just things are good. Engagements are good. Enjoying conversations with people on Twitter. And just this timestamp for this for everybody. It is 10:06 a.m. in Lima, Peru. So just so all of you know, that's when we're recording.
10:06 in Lima. Well, I'm going to say it's 11 o'clock at night in Singapore or just after. So that's the same in Malaysia. I think about 8:30 in India. And it's Tuesday, correct. So we're a bit early this week. The reason for that is we are struggling to get us all together later in the week, I think. No, the social John Terry is out in London constantly, so he's never available anymore.
Well, he's the Net That Haul PR machine.
He is
without him, we would be really small.
I could do with that. I could do with losing a few pounds. It might be put me on a bit of a diet. That might work. Anyway, okay. So, yes, what should we say? Well, as always, if you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Also, if you haven't subscribed, do the same. If you do catch us on a pod, particularly from Apple, please leave us a 5-star review as well. But before we get going, we've just got a little bit of news we want to share with you as well at Net That Haul. And it's sad news. And that's that Hibbo has decided to step away from the channel to focus on his young family and to concentrate on his writing. So I think on behalf of everybody, we would just like to all wish him the very best for the future. He's still a friend of the show. And we also wish him all the very best for his new job as well, don't we, Gabe? Which is just
yeah. So it's it's a lot of things come at you in life, as you well know, Mariner. You're right in the middle of that yourself. But yeah, Hibbo got a promotion. He is focusing on his writing. He is a dear friend. He's a brother to us, and he remains that. And we wish him the best. And I don't know, man. Haulers, I think you'll be seeing like some Hibbo appearances in the future. My bet is that guy can't stay away. So we'll be seeing his ugly mug soon enough. And do wish him the best if you see him around. Yeah,
absolutely. Do hit him up on Twitter and wish him all the best, particularly for his new job as well. But yeah, it might be on as a guest before too long. And if, as we said, we may well just have to go to Ireland and have a drink with him one day. That would be very nice as well. All right, then. So let's crack on. And where we're going to start today, Gabe, actually, is with the Minileague. And I want to give a shout out to the people who are at the top of our Minileague at the moment. And we'll try and do this every week. And we've got Pfizer Chiefs at the top. That great name. I shouted him out a few weeks ago. Yeah. Brad Curry. 1,080 points, an official rank of 55th in the world. Now, I did check something about Brad Curry. I was thinking, where is Brad Curry from? Now, he's involved in Dorset County Cricket Club and Poole Cricket Clubs. That's the UK. But it just so happens to be number 1 in Myanmar. I'm not quite sure about that. I don't know if if we've got a bit of a glory hunter on our hands there, Gabe. What do you reckon?
Hey, isn't everybody that plays FPL a glory hunter? Come on, he's just another hauler as far as I'm concerned.
He's doing super well, 55th in the world. Go on, my son.
Do on.
It for the haulers.
That's right.
But we also want to say, just whilst we've got because it's up on the screen as well, so we've got Donny's duds. So Donny, 183rd in the world, in second place in our mini league. Third, no scout, no glory, Ryan Quinn. Ryan's played his bench boost, his triple captain, his first wildcard, and his free hit. So
one of those. Huh?
One of those, yeah. FPL Milanista, Obaid is in 4th, and he's in 204th in the world.
He's
and
a great follow on Twitter, by the way, Milanista.
Yeah,
really savvy tactically and stuff.
Yeah, and Championista United, Robert Bob in 5th, and he's 231st in the world. So we've got 10 people in the top 1,000 in the mini league in the world. Not bad, huh?
Wow, that's impressive. It's none of us, but it's impressive.
No, I was just about to say that. If anyone would like to take over from me, clearly there's some far better players than me on it. What I want to know is how many of these people own Kane. I bet not many. Enough said. That was much use as a chocolate bloody teapot, that bloke. I'll tell you what, you were right, Gabe. He was only going to ever score against a load of strategically placed dustbins on the pitch. That's all he was going to say. Absolutely.
But he scored against San Marino. he's gonna hat trick in the Premier League.
Oh God, you told me, didn't you? I didn't listen.
I mean, I will say, like, at the time, just to get right into that conversation really quickly, at the time, in fairness, we didn't know, right? We guessed Son, some guessed Son, some guessed Kane. The Suns won out this time, and we move, as you said.
Yeah, 29-point swing going Son and Wilson against Kane and Gallagher. And that was a 50-50 call when that was made, wasn't it?
You know, I never go back and make calculations like that. I feel like it's
only because I read it on Twitter. That's why I actually got it. But interesting. Big point swings.
A recipe for suffering.
Absolutely. Let's quickly say hello to a few people, and then I'll set you off with the philosophy. So we've got Akib in. We've got the Fantasy Pavilion here first. No, actually second. Akib was here first. Blue Danube guy. There we go. It's not Danube. It's Danube. I'm getting that right. Ramanthan's in. Okay, Ignatius is here. Boona. Hello, mate. We've also got FPL DG Boy 88. Evening guys. Gais? GAIS. Boo, you are my podcast lullaby.
Who said that? Evening, guys. Your podcasts are my lullaby before I go to sleep.
I've never been called a lullaby. I've been called a few things, but never a lullaby. Yeah, Ramanthan's in as well. Anyway, right, shall we crack on?
Let's crack on.
And let's see what... an absurdologist is here as well. As always, nice to see you, my friend. Gabe, the philosophy of the week. What is the story?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I don't have the my slides up, so I'll just go right into it. This is it's by Seneca, not... What are you going to say?
Well, if this is the COVID sort of theme, is it Astra?
Right.
Seneca?
It's not of the Astra variety, no.
Right.
He was a Roman philosopher, writer, public speaker. I put public speaker in there because that's kind of how that was actually a job. It's kind of how they moved politics and stuff. But the quote this week is, "That man lives badly who does not know how to die well." And the reason for this, I selected this quote, is because of it just, like, carnage is coming. It kind of already hit this game week. And COVID is coming, and if it hits Spurs, and if the rumors are to be believed, I mean, our teams are going to be decimated. And these are things that we have to, like, if we can prepare ourselves in advance, we don't have to despair when it happens. We know it's going to happen. It's as sure as death. It's as big as life and as sure as death, I think, is another quote.
Okay, so my Manchester City double clean sheet, I just had to prepare myself for it. That prick Gray's screamer last night, I had to prepare myself for it, did I?
Yeah.
The goalkeeper.
Yes, exactly. That, like, these things will happen. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I guarantee. Here's a guaranteed prediction, Mariner, which I know you love. You love these, and I hate them. Guaranteed prediction, that will happen again this season. I guarantee you
I
will
guarantee
have a
that this
clean
week.
sheet or a double clean sheet wipeout in the last 5 minutes again this season. It's going to happen.
It'll probably happen this week. The way I'm going.
Seriously, you know, they say one of the best, and I don't know how they say this because I don't know how they get this kind of data, but one of the best ways to die is by drowning, because it gets to this peaceful state where you just let go and you accept everything, and that state is almost like a state of bliss. So accept the things that are coming to you, accept the bad things that are coming to you.
All right, we've just lost 15. We've just lost 15 viewers for that. Anyway, fabulous. Anyway, so enough of drowning, drowning in FPL. But yeah, I could probably associate with I think accept your fate. I think is a fair way of going about it, and laugh about it if it goes wrong. Yeah. Let's face it, there's nothing else you can do. I just turned it off, watched the cricket as usual. On Formula One, actually, thinking about it. Right. Anyway, right. Let's keep going then. So thank you, Gabe. More for sitting on the toilet next week for the people who are on the podcast. There is a gentleman sat on the toilet looking rather pensive. So on the screen. But there we go. Right. All right, then. Fixture difficulties. Let's have a quick look. Now, again, just to remind you, because the times the game weeks are coming thick and fast, we're actually a week behind. But I would still argue that we are the most up-to-date fixture difficulty of the lot. So let's have a quick look at it as usual. So we've got Liverpool. This is attack at home. We've got Liverpool still top, 1.1. Very, very good. Not is best, 7's worst, as we said. Improving variance as well. So they're improving it even more from what they were. Second is City, fixture difficulty of 1.2, just slightly worse, probably thanks to those couple of little blips. And third, Chelsea with a fixture difficulty of 1.8, slightly improving now. Now at the bottom, Watford are starting to climb with respect to number, but you might notice, Gabe, that the variance doesn't look so good for Watford. The reason is what I've done now is I've actually normalised that this week. So we'll actually see, because obviously the promoted teams don't have the history. All right. So I have to keep normalising. It's the only way to do it. But they are improving. Norwich, 4.3 now, definitely improving at home. Definitely improving at home. Aston Villa 4.1 at the moment, still showing no sign. We'll see what happens in weeks to come. Away, attack-wise, Liverpool are just about to break the metric again with 0 and just improving time on time. It's ridiculous. It's getting to a point where I'm running out of superlatives for them, to be quite frank. And then miles ahead of Chelsea at 2.3 and Man City at 2.6, West Ham 2.8, Man United 3.1. At the bottom, Norwich 5.4, again improving. Arsenal 4.8. Well, I didn't see the game last night, Gabe. Did Arsenal do much? I really didn't see it at all. But they are away from home. It doesn't surprise me that Arsenal are still stuttering. I think they are a different beast at home compared to away. Did you see the game?
Yeah, I did watch the game. I mean, at full credit to Everton is my first thought about that game was full credit to Everton. They showed heart. They showed that they desire to win. They just this fight, and they and I thought they played decently. But Arsenal, I think it's funny because we've seen Arsenal improve recently, right? Week after week, it seems like they've been improving recently. However, I think they're really just hurt by not having by Aubameyang's just poor form, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if Aubameyang could, had any kind of finishing form right now, I think Arsenal could be much higher. So it's kind of just that one piece that's missing for Arsenal, and I think they could shoe it up. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Arsenal.
I mean, I think certainly at home, I think they're a different beast completely, as you can see. We had this with Leeds last year as well, didn't we? At one stage, they were very, very, very different home to away.
Yeah.
Just a comment here, just whilst the haulers are starting, we've got Booner in here causing trouble
Yeah, waking us all up. That's good.
Has anyone ever said, Chris, that you're a spitting image of Granville? Now, I don't know if you know Granville. Who Granville is, do you, Gabe?
I've heard the name.
There was an old TV program called Open All Hours. It was about a guy in a corner shop, and his little assistant was Granville. It was David Jason. I'm sure it was David Jason. I'm sure it was.
There's a prominent community member named Granville, isn't there?
I don't know. I'm thinking, so. Is he talking about that? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, all I remember is Nurse Gladys Emmanuel. He was a bit infatuated by her. She had a let's put it this way: she hadn't seen her feet for a few years.
Well, there are two humps that could be responsible for that.
Right. Anyway, look, what the hell are we talking about? I'm not even sure I've got this right.
I think you were just channeling right now. You were channeling
off now anyway. So let's change the subject.
Right now you were just channeling Granville. That's what was happening.
Apparently, I look like Granville.
And you channel
Arsenal improving a lot, as we've said. Crystal Palace improving a lot. No train wreck really at home. 3.6 going up. There's questions about Gallagher. I'm not sure looking at that tells me to sell him just yet. I know positionally it's a bit of a worry, but where are you on Gallagher?
I think I agree. I concur. There are questions around Gallagher, but I think those questions are more tactical questions than anything else. Than anything as far as matchups are concerned. I think the matchups are fine. I think they're good and bad. They're a mixed bag a little bit. And it's just how they're going to set up and how deep Gallagher is going to play versus, or how high he's going to support the pressure of the front players. So, and there's a lot in transition. There's a lot going on at Palace right now in terms of the attacking players. So I think there are questions. I don't think he's a sell. Well, here I'm going to take that back. I do think he's a sell if don't miss out on emerging assets because you're holding Gallagher. Yeah. So in that sense, he's a sell, but I don't think he's a fire to put out in your team.
No, I mean, I'm just looking at their fixtures. So they've got Everton at home, Southampton at home, Norwich at home. They are better at home than away. Mm-hmm. So that's my view. I can see why people are saying, "Oh, they look terrible," but they tend to look terrible away from home. From my perspective.
But their away fixtures in 18 and 19, well, at least certainly in 18 is not difficult. In 19, I think it remains to be seen. I think the Spurs team we see in Gameweek 19 could be different from the one we see this week, and not just because of the alleged COVID outbreak there. So
anyway, Buddha was talking about someone from FPL, not an old sitcom.
Okay,
I'm showing my age now.
Yeah, you went back to the black and white.
I did, yeah, nearly, yeah. Anyway, that just shows how old I am, Buddha, honestly, mate. But anyway, not to worry. Maybe me look an ass now. But anyway, who cares? Another question. We're looking at the longer range fixture difficulty game for attack, and this is always obviously that big green line for Liverpool, which just we don't have to say much there. Fixture difficulties for the next 5 weeks of 3.0, 3.3, 3.4, 2.7, and 3.7.
It's insane.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. City 2.6, 2.3, 2.8. Again, ridiculously good. What I want to bring up, though, is there's been some discussions about Aston Villa here. Sleepy Jedi put a note on Twitter for us today. How about Villa from game week 16? And if so, who? Now, I'm just looking at this, and I see game week 16, a negative matchup against Liverpool. Well, not a complete train wreck. Right. 17 neutral against Norwich, 18 slightly positive against Burnley, and then obviously Chelsea, very, very tough, and then Leeds. I look at this and I think realistically, I'm not sure I've seen enough yet from Aston Villa. Where are you on this one?
I mean, Aston Villa is a tough one, right? Because what we have seen has been quite encouraging from Stevie G. I like the way he's implementing the 4-3-3. I like the way the wingbacks are getting involved as well. I have my Watkins is on my watch list for sure. But again, the fixtures aren't super exciting, but he is in good form. So I think they're, since there are so few options on that front line, I think Watkins could be, bringing him in, for example, in Gameweek 17 against then you have Norwich, Burnley, Chelsea's not so great, but at 7.4, he could be fine. Chelsea have been conceding as well recently. So I think they're fine options, especially in the forwards. I don't think I would invest in defense quite yet, although I would keep an eye. I mean, I think they're also too expensive. The defenders are 5.0 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
they're not that
yeah.
cheap. I tend to agree. We'll come to defence in a second, actually. But the other one I want to just home in on is West Ham. And look, we've got Burnley this week, which actually, surprisingly, isn't a great matchup. 0.0. It's completely neutral, probably because Burnley are pretty good at home. Then they've got Arsenal away. Then they've got Norwich, Southampton, and Watford. Look how green those fixtures go all of a sudden at game week 18 for West Ham. Yeah. So as much as I'm going to talk about one of their assets later on, but as much as I look at that, I'm not falling over myself for either Watkins or someone like Bowen at this exact moment in time. But they are really they're in my thought process 100% now. Looking at that,
yeah, and I mean, West Ham have been experimenting with some different formations recently. And they've been going 3 at the back. They have some injuries defensively, obviously. They were in a 3-4-2-1 against Chelsea, which worked out really well. So I think West Ham options are definitely a consideration. The question is really, do you go 1? Do you go 2? Do you double up on West Ham?
I hold Antonio anyway. And I used double up very, very, very much to my advantage at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'd be tempted to, actually.
And there's a theory that this is something that I was wondering, and I've had some discussions with people on Twitter about this, is, in the more difficult fixtures, has Antonio been used as a player to draw the defensive attention and then draw them wide? And, people keep saying that Antonio's pulling wide, and he's linking play from wider areas and defenders. And that kind of that destabilizes the back line. It destabilizes the shape of the back line, and which allows the Bowen and Lanzini or Fornals, whoever's in behind, to maybe take advantage of some of that space that's opened up by Antonio. Now, those difficult fixtures are coming to an end. So my question is it going to, and you see, I think FPL Poker Player at Barcolina on Twitter posted this graph of the inverse relationship of production between Antonio and Bowen. And I wonder, I wonder if that's going to switch back to Antonio in the easier fixtures. When I see Antonio, I see he has, he obviously has the strength and the stamina to pull the, good defenses wide. But what he's not doing is when he's not turning them and getting in behind them, which he does against poorer defenses. So I think Antonio is definitely could kind of skyrocket again. Whether that comes at the expense of Bowen or not, that's what I'm not sure of, and I fear that it may. And that's I want to bring Bowen in, but that's the one just caution I have is will they cannibalize each other's production?
There's always a possibility. I do like Bowen though, and I think when we look at the zonal matchups, I think we'll see that also. I think they're quite favourable for him in the longer term as well. Okay, so that's the attack. Let's move on to defence. Very quickly. So City at home top the pile, 1.6, variance of minus 1.5. So getting better, much that you wouldn't think so if you're a double City owner like me, when that pain in the ass. Enough said.
It's coming. No, there'll be more, I'm sure.
There's going to be more rants coming before too long. Brighton remains second at 2.1, but they're decimated now with injuries. Duffy out, Dunk out.
It's going to get worse.
Going to get worse, right?
So, question for you: should Sanchez owners be worried?
There's
Not that we're going to do anything about it.
Question about wildcards later on. I mean, you know, you look at the numbers in isolation, and Brighton's matchups are the best out of all teams going forwards. But yeah, I think you've got to be concerned. The only thing is, it looks like Spurs have got no players either this week. It might not even be a game at this rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd be a bit worried, and you know, it then cools me off Lamptey because you know he might end up playing too many minutes, or they just might not keep any clean sheets. So you know, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a problem for them, I'm afraid, at the moment. Chelsea are third, anyway, 2.3, about the same. And at the bottom, Watford still bottom, Newcastle, then Everton. Norwich, stop the press, start the car, are out of the bottom four, out of the bottom three. There we go.
Look at that green swing, the minus 1.3 green swing moving up.
Norwich are improving. Brandon Williams, anybody? 4.0. He looked quite lively. He was probably one of the liveliest players on the pitch. Man, it wasn't difficult. It was like watching a funeral march. It certainly was as a Kane owner, anyway.
I mean, if it's a consideration, I guess. It depends how that's going to benefit you elsewhere. The savings will benefit you elsewhere.
He plays at least he's playing. At least he's playing. At least he's playing. Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, let's look away, and then we'll have a general chit chat about this as well, Gabe. And so away, City 2.1, Chelsea 2.5, Spurs 3. At the bottom, Norwich, Burnley 4.8, Newcastle 4.4. I think here there's not a lot changing, but I think where we're coming from here, Gabe, and if you just look at this in general terms, right? Look at these numbers. The best numbers for defence are not as good as the best numbers for attack. And bear in mind that these fixture fields work the same way, just inversely, for deliberate reasons for it. This is telling me now that particularly away from home, clean sheets are going to be at a premium. From my view, that's my perspective. The first thing I would say, and secondly, Manchester City, even though they are not performing for me, look like the only super solid chance for clean sheets in the whole league at this moment in time. I mean, you're getting to, Chelsea 2.3. You're going to argue that they're probably going to keep some clean sheets. Of course you are. But apart from that, there's not a great deal else there. Question, and there's been a few questions about this. We've got FPL Gold fellas. Is there seasonality when it comes to clean sheets? Are we expecting to see less clean sheets in this rush of fixtures than at other times of the year? And also from our good friend Sean, is big at the back dead? Not for him, of course, but is it?
It'll never die for Sean.
Two sort of questions there. First things first, are we moving towards perhaps a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 through the Christmas period because of the rotation and things like that? What's your view on that?
I don't think so. I think whatever you're moving, I've already made my bed for the Christmas period, and that's with big at the back. I'm not going to move away from that now because 2 clean sheets got wiped out in the last 5 minutes.
No, but do you think the template's starting to move?
I think it is, but I mean, the template is starting to shift. It'll shift further. It'll shift towards United. It'll shift even more so towards City. I think you have to have 3 City. You have to have 3 Liverpool. But I think these are obvious points. I think United could start entering into the template, but I think to say if you've gone big at the back, right? And the reason, so I'll use myself as an example because I went big at the back and I still have my big 5 defenders and I plan on keeping them. So my reasoning was, yes, there's a chance that they'll get rotated, but if I have 5, that I'll always have a solid back line. Number one. Number two is the value. At that price, you can't get that kind of upside for that price anywhere else, and any other position, right? And then number three, the entrenched, like Mo is the entrenched captain, for example, right? Jota is entrenched. The entrenched elements of the template, like that big at the back, kind of fits that entrenched template at the moment. So if I start moving from that now, then I'm gonna be like moving away from big at the back now and try playing catch up towards the template. I feel like I have to see my strategy through. So I think whatever your strategy for the fixture crunch for the should have happened already, like in the past couple of game weeks. And now you have to see it through whatever way you chose. If you're still trying to figure out what your strategy is for the fixture crunch now, that's fine. You're probably like 1 or 2 transfers behind it, but that's fine. Then you can maybe think of getting ahead of it and then going fewer defenders.
I think the issue is, though, I mean, for example, let's say I've got Diaz. I've got that pain in Diaz. I keep saying that. I'm going to say that all night. The fixtures are still very, very good. You could argue that it hasn't paid off yet, apart from the goal that he scored, which, is that the bonus? Is that one bonus goal? But look, realistically, Diaz is 7% chance of a goal or assist compared to a 30 to 40 to 50% chance for the players that you're owning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Rudiger's better than Diaz when it comes to chances. So, yeah, I mean, Diaz is the player who I would be looking at if I was moving away from it. But then the argument is, who do you go to? Because, you could look at Spurs, but, Davis has been mentioned. I've been reading a very good article by Sonaldo, FPL Sonaldo on Davis for Spurs, but I'm not sold on Spurs.
No.
And to be honest with you, there's not a great deal else down there, which I'm really that keen on. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I think I don't see an awful lot of clean sheets, and that's why I think if I had the opportunity to do this differently again, I wouldn't have Diaz. I would have another fullback or a wing back.
I mean, but they're in limited supply as well, right? So you have Cancelo, you have Reece James, the obvious ones, right?
You might have been the one. Yeah, I would have been.
So
just not been.
I don't know. I don't know if I would lament not having Alonso over Diaz at this point.
No,
Alonso's not playing well. Chelsea's more likely to concede than City. Sure, Diaz is not going to get the attacking returns, and generally speaking, but that's a trade-off, right? You get a better defense, but you get fewer attacking returns. I don't know. I think the narrative of I don't get the narrative of Diaz is a bad pick. He's not a problem on any team. He's not a fire to put out. So if with all the injuries, with COVID, with all these things going on, if you are subbing Diaz out, then somehow, I don't know, you have magic in your team because you've avoided all of these fires. So I just don't see it as an issue.
You're spot on there. You are spot on there. And I think I'm not going to sell him. I've no intention of selling him, actually. I'm going to try, but I tell you what, he's bloody trying my bloody patience. The air was blue again. The air was blue a few times this weekend watching football. Not least when it didn't make any difference to me at all. When Jota missed that chance, I was absolutely ranting. And little daughter burst into tears because I was screaming at the telly. And daughter's 10 days old, right? Or 12. And then I thought, hang on a minute, it's about 95% EO. What the hell are you even bothered about it for?
Yeah.
Oh god!
But Blue Nix had some good suggestions as far as like who to move to.
Yeah. So Tellez, Delort, Davis. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
what I will say is Tellez won't start every game. Shaw will be involved for sure. Dalot he's had a good start, but he's a bad defender as far as like defending goes. Trust me, he's not good. He won't last there very long. I mean, there could be rotation there as well. Reguilon, I'm still not sold on Spurs defense. So like there are all these questions, and so to use a valuable transfer at this time for that, I think is a bit rich for me.
Absolutely right. And to be honest with you, I'm not always that. I don't tend to do too many defensive double ups for this reason. They try my patience, as Abalash is saying. They are a test of one's patience, and I think I'm going to stick with it for now. But I'm not much, if I think you'll hear the explosion from Phoenix if it goes wrong this week.
Even in Lima, Peru, we'll hear it.
Yeah, even in Lima, Peru. Yeah, absolutely. Long range defensively wise, again, is there an argument that big at the back's really overlooking at this as well? I mean, looking at this, average matchups, there's only really Chelsea and City who have good matchups going forward. They're nothing like the 3.3 and 1.9 averages of Liverpool and City when it comes to attacking over the same period. It just looks to me that there are it's quite slim pickings at the moment. So that's why I'm thinking, are we now in a position where that fourth and fifth midfielder, unless you are in an unfortunate position, you've got Diaz, and you probably won't want to get rid of that pain in Diaz, then is that fourth midfielder an option to downgrade to free up some cash for that midfield spot? Because let's face it, the template is getting more expensive in midfield for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I think there is a strong that I quite like. There is an argument for it. The trouble is I can't quite work out who I want. I mean, of course, West Ham's fixtures are improving a lot as well. God help me, we're going back to Soufal. Players like that.
Yeah, I mean, he still could be a rotation risk, right? With what's his name, Ben Johnson?
Is injured? Is Johnson injured though? I thought he went off injured.
He did. He went off injured a couple games ago, but I think he's healthy now. I don't remember, but
it's an option. But I mean, the point is, there's another team, West Ham. They're an option, I suppose. But God, I've already owned Soufal once and sold him, so I don't know whether I can go back to him again this year.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's fair to compare the defensive ratings with Liverpool and City attacking ratings. Like those two are a little bit on a different level. But I will say, like to your point, Mariner, of the are the defenses becoming more vulnerable? With NetxG, we're in this modeling group where there's about a dozen other people that make models, and very few of them are predicting clean sheets these days. Even Watford is predicted to score 1 goal in those, and Norwich sometimes too. So I think that backs up your point that modelers see it that it's getting more difficult for defenses. Your FDR sees it. So I think it's a fair question whether big at the back is still the optimal strategy.
Fair enough.
I'm going to stick with it just to not change. But
no, I think that's fine. You make your bed, you lie in it, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with the players that you've got. They may regress somewhat, is the risk, of course. One or two have been overperforming. So let's see. James is bound to regress now because I own him. Enough said.
I mean, yeah, he's not going to score 25 points a game.
No,
he's not going to keep that.
Absolutely. All right, look, that's the fixture difficulty then. Gabe, I'm going to bring you in because I think you're going to do something about the wingbacks. I think what about the wingbacks is we're going to talk about for the next few.
So what's up with the wingbacks is the question here, and it's obviously related to, is big at the back done? And just a reminder that we have big at the back not because they are they have been great defensively, but we have them for their upside. Right, that's why you want those wingbacks. So I was wondering, what's going on with the wingbacks at Chelsea, and I've come up with an idea, and I think I still have not enough data to really see if this is accurate, but let's see what people think. So I took Alonso in game weeks 1 through 6, where, let me see, in game weeks 1 through 6, he scored 39 points, so it's 6.5 points per game. And his opponents were Palace, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, and City. So Liverpool and City included in those fixtures, still 6.5 points per game. Now, when he's come back in game weeks 13 through 16, he scored a total of 4 points, so 1.33 points per game against United, Watford, and West Ham. So what I notice here is we'll start with on the left we have the touch heat map for those listening on the podcast, and we see Alonso from game weeks 1 through 6 kind of taking up that left side of the field. Now it's quite evenly spread. Maybe there's a little bit more on the defensive side, but it's evenly spread between on his defensive half and the attacking half. If you look at game weeks 13 through 16 for Alonso, the touch heat map, it skews much more heavily towards the defense. We see the very little presence past midfield on that left side. Now, if comparing the touch heat map to the passes received heat map, I think the reason I like to include both the touch heat map and the passes received, because the touch heat map shows kind of their entire involvement, and the passes received heat map shows their involvement in attack. And we see how just the dwindle, how much the attack has dwindled. So the heat map on the right for the passes received, the heat map on the right for game weeks 13 through 16 should be about half of the heat map on the left from game weeks 1 through 6, because it's half the game weeks. It's 3 game weeks versus 6 game weeks. But we see especially the passes received heat map, it's much less than half, which means that Alonso's receiving the ball much less. And when he is receiving the ball, he's receiving it not just further back, but way further back, like almost in his defensive third, right at the end, where the defensive third and the middle third meet on that left-hand side, and he's not receiving it up the pitch. So this is a big concern for Alonso, and you have to wonder kind of like what's going on here. Why has he kind of stopped attacking? You can go to the next slide. So similar situation with Reece James. I picked different game weeks for Reece James because obviously he's played in different game weeks. He had an injury and he has kind of different productions. You'll see on the left-hand side is Reece James game weeks 9 through 12. On the right-hand side, so there are 2 sets of heat maps. There's the left side and the right. On the right side, it is the last 2 matches. So he missed the Watford match. He was rested the Watford match. So these are the last 2 matches he played. Again, similarly to Alonso, the right heat map should be about half of the left heat map, and you see it's much less than half, and it's also further back. So on that right hand side, Reece James is receiving passes in his own half, whereas in game weeks 9 through 12, he was receiving them way up the field, like between kind of like on that right side between the circle and the opposing box. He's not receiving it up there high up the pitch anymore. And we see the same kind of dynamic with the touch heat map for Reece James. So the question here is why have both wingbacks been pinned back in the past, I don't know, like three game weeks or so? And when looking at them, let me see if I have yes, when looking at them, I noticed so the past 3 game weeks they've played against a back 3. And I wonder if that back 3 or back 5 is what's keeping Chelsea at bay. So the first 6 game weeks they played against a back 4 in every game week, I think. Yeah, every single one. Palace, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, and City. They all played a back 4. Now, in game weeks 13 through 15, Chelsea played against United, who played a back 3, Watford, who played a back 3, back 5, Watford, back 3, back 5, and West Ham, back 3, back 5. And they all gave Chelsea problems. The only exception who didn't give the only back 3 this season who has not given Chelsea problems, that was Norwich. And we all know what happened in that 7-0, right? But Norwich is not a professional football team, at least not a first division professional football team. Or let me rephrase: they weren't when City played them. I think they're much improved, like we mentioned, right? So I think Chelsea struggle against a back 3 against good opposition, and the next slide will kind of begin to show us why.
Just whilst we're talking about this, and there's been a couple of, I think, quite interesting comments in the chat. Ant A, I'll put it onto the screen for you. He's saying the main issue with the Chelsea wingbacks is the return of Mason Mount. taking the set pieces and is the creative force. I can see what he's saying there. And there's another player, of course, who's starting to turn up as well, as Ramanthan points out, and that's Ziyech. So yeah, you can perhaps see why they're getting a little bit crowded out. Remember, these fullbacks are getting a little bit crowded out now.
Yeah, and I think those are two great points, especially the Ziyech point, because Ziyech has been playing like the way Ziyech will play. He likes to get wide, so he'll sometimes move into the space that those wingbacks used to run into. I think the set pieces is another element that, you know, Mount and Ziyech taking set pieces from the wingbacks is another element, and it's a big deal. But I think their lack of production is more of a tactical one. And it shows here, especially against a back three. I do think Mount and Ziyech play a role in limiting their creativity. When Tuchel can't get creativity from his wingbacks, he's going to get creativity from the two players in behind the striker, right? But maybe the reason he can't get creativity from the wingbacks is this. So on the right, this is the Chelsea against Manchester United setup. We see kind of like the blank zone right in the middle. It's weird to see neither team really playing or touching the ball in the middle of the field, how they're both trying to be wide. And I think this is part of the success why Manchester United and other teams that have played a back three effectively have had success against Chelsea. Because in these matches, I think Chelsea, they failed to adequately use their central midfielders to create. So they would just, we see the touch heat map on the left, how Chelsea has kind of these 4 quadrants of touches. Like wide left around midfield, wide right around midfield in the attacking half, and then wide left and around midfield and wide right around midfield in the defensive half. And that's it. It's almost like they're stuck, right? And then on the right hand side, we see United's kind of back triangle, that 3. It's this kind of like a prevent defense, right? We see the touches on the wings and their defensive half and deep in their area as they cycle the ball back and forth there, and not much in the middle, and that just limited Chelsea because Chelsea didn't adapt. Now they're starting to adapt with Mount and Ziyech, but back in game week, what was it, 14 or when they played United, or 13 maybe. They didn't adapt. We'll see the same thing on the next slide. Oh, sorry. Before you go back, just to mention on the Chelsea heat map, there the 2 circles there on the left hand side with the arrows. That's the arrows point to where the possession should be, or where it was when they were successful attacking with their wingbacks. So and then the circles point the kind of the concentrated area of possession now. So it's further back. Against West Ham, we see a similar kind of dynamic. West Ham much less possession on the wings, certainly on that right side, but we see that kind of prevent formation as well. West Ham do have kind of more activity from their defensive midfielders. Obviously, Declan Rice is much better than Fred and McSauce over there. Although kudos to Fred's goal, it was a nice one, so I have to give him props for that. And then again, we see Chelsea being stuck. Instead of the 4 corners and the same 4 corners they were stuck with Manchester United, they're stuck in 3 of them. They didn't even use that right side against West Ham. So I don't know, Reece James wasn't used much at all. But we see kind of that block of empty area where it shows that Chelsea just failed to penetrate. They failed to penetrate from the midfield third to the attacking third. I think that that penetration they would get from their wingbacks, and they're not getting that from the wingbacks when they play against the back 3. So again, just it's 3 games, something to keep an eye on, and maybe something to be wary of if Chelsea face other competent back 3s moving forward.
So what to do then if you own Alonso? There's a Danube Joe. He has asked a question on Twitter. Now, you own Alonso. You're obviously keeping him, I would imagine. Is there any reason to contemplate selling him? He did have a knock, but I think he's been seen in training.
Alonso he's always had back problems. So these are regular things that he maintains. Again, I still say that they have no real cover for him on that left side. So I think he's going to play. I brought him in for, for the opportunity. And if Alonso's playing, there's always opportunity. So if his expected minutes are high, then his expected ceiling is going to be high as well. So I'm keeping.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, great. So, all right. So let's keep going. I'm just seeing if there's just general chit chat about, in the group, just generally on Chelsea. I think it's worthwhile mentioning. People, Roman fans commenting that Kante is missing, worrying for that reason.
Kante has been missing for much of the season, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know that is, and even while Chelsea kept clean sheets, even while Kante has been missing. So while that, of course, that hurts any team, will have maybe the best defensive midfielder missing from your team. I don't think that's the main culprit for Chelsea conceding goals recently.
Yeah, and Rubber Ducky, is there some form of overreaction out of West Ham's 3 goals? One was a penalty, and the other was a fluke cross. I think Mendy had a bad day, quite frankly, didn't he? That's the other thing.
Yeah, he did.
That's the other problem. So okay, all right. So let's keep going then. Thank you very much, Gabe. It's always good to have a look at the these zones. It's nice to get the heat maps out every now and again. We don't always look at them these days. I like heat maps. All right. Game week 16 then. Who's got the best matchups? Well, oh, but what a surprise. It's Liverpool home against Villa. 3.0. Very, very strong. 2.5 goals. There we go. There's my prediction.
I think we should just ban Liverpool talk until AFCON.
City against Wolves, 2. Chelsea against Leeds, 2. I certainly fancy Chelsea a lot more than I fancy City. I think Wolves have just showed that they can be quite stubborn.
I think it evens out with when you compare the attacks, right? Wolves can be quite stubborn, but Chelsea's attack is better than City right now.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's interesting.
Be an interesting way of looking at it. We've got a bit of a confession. We haven't got the NetxG, have we? Because we've been too busy to be able to get it done. But
apologies for that.
We've got the rough ideas, though, haven't we? We've got a rough numbers. They were about 2, weren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. At the bottom, Wolves minus 2.6. Now, please God, that must be a clean sheet. Double clean sheet. City. Everton minus 2. Oh my dear me. The Spurs minus 1.8 with Leeds. Spurs minus 1.8. Attack against Brighton. Although saying that, we all know the caveats there, right? I don't even think it's worth talking about it. The game might not even be on. Where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, that would imagine that. Imagine if that game is called off. Sanchez gone for people. Spurs gone for people.
It's a good week to take
Tony
a hit. It'll be a good week to take a hit. I'll tell you. If that game goes, I am definitely taking a hit.
I think a hit will be the norm this week.
Yeah,
I think it could be a good week to take a free hit.
Yeah.
It depends how badly you're impacted. It depends.
We've got the first inklings of a blank game week starting to appear on the long range fixture difficulty around 24 and 25. Can you navigate that easily enough? And then we're just starting to get to the cup now, aren't we? I just see the third round draw of the cup was made this week, so we're soon going to be into the cup, and then we'll be looking at it then. So I don't know that I'd free it too early. I don't like free hitting it.
I think it depends how badly you're impacted. This is basically a blank game week for you.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a poll out. I'll put a poll out again for hits. Once I start to see what's happening, I'll put a poll out, and it's normally pretty accurate. You normally get a fairly good judgment of how many hits have been taken. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's a hit. It's possibly a good week for a hit. It might be a good thing because I reckon I might need to do one to sort my.
I mean, if you own
troops out,
if you own Tony. Right, a couple Spurs, right?
Yeah.
So you have Alonso, Sanchez, Cornet.
Yeah,
that's a blank game week. That's a time to free hit.
Yeah, I suppose. Although saying that, they're only 2-point hits, aren't they? if they're all injured. Remember, it's only 2 points, not a 4-point hit.
Well, it's
like that.
Maybe, but you're also completely restructuring your team.
Yeah, true, but that might not be a bad thing.
With hits. With hits. I don't... a complete team restructure with hits entering into the fixture crunch.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But then again, what's to say it's going to resolve itself next week? It's all well and good free hitting, but what's to say it's even going to resolve itself next week?
Yeah,
I think
that's
generally
a fair
speaking. Point. I think generally speaking, and we'll touch on this right now, and I think it's a good time because we're talking about the fixture crunch and this, that, and the other. We're just coming up to Christmas.
Buna's telling us that 7th Tottenham first team players tested
positive
today.
I have a horrible, horrible feeling that we will be using our third bench player anytime now. Any in the next 2 to 3 weeks will be down to the bare bones.
2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be... I have a feeling that game is going to be postponed.
Yeah, I think people will be deep into the benches again. All right, so that's the fixture difficulty for attack with respect to matchups. Defensively, as we've said, City have an amazing matchup against Wolves. Palace have a very good matchup against Everton at home too.
Oh.
And Brighton and Chelsea have good matchups against Spurs and Leeds, as we've already said. And Villa at the other end look like they could have a pretty difficult afternoon up at Liverpool. I'm not saying they won't score, but I've got a feeling they're going to concede a few. And obviously Wolves and Leeds, as we've said, because that just matches up the opposite way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's Ruben. There's Diaz. Look, there's my mate. Pain in.
Ruben.
Pain in Diaz. There's my mate. Come on, my son. Please, just do me a favour this week. It's got to happen. Just looking down these matchups, West Ham, Burnley. We mentioned that earlier. Let me just go back. I didn't talk about it. I was going to mention that earlier on when I look at West Ham and Burnley. Negative, neutral. 0.
Yes. Explain yourself.
Well, it's because Burnley aren't bad at home defensively. That's what it is. And West Ham have, as I've said, have come off a cliff a little bit. Have gone off a little cliff a bit. How long that stays for remains to be seen. But again, am I falling over myself to bring a West Ham player in this week? No. Do I think they can get something at Burnley? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think is the way I would put it. Quickly going on to the fixture difficulties for the averages. And there we go. There's Reece James, there's my mate Cancelo, and there is Trent sat there. It's the 3 Musketeers, as ever. City average 2.3, extremely good. Any other season, we would be having a serious conversation about captaining these guys now. In my opinion, any other season. What's your view on that?
Agree 100%. If we didn't have Mo, such an entrenched captain, then auto pick Mo, then
isn't it? We should.
No, I think it's like I said. I think it's great. It's the best thing that ever happened to FPL.
In some senses, I'm just bored of it. I like the cap. I think we've probably lost viewers because the captaincy metric's getting boring.
Yeah, that's fair. It's bad. It's bad for the metric because it's not interesting. Yeah, it's bad for the publicity of the metric.
That's right. So anyway, City 2.3, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1.9, 3 standout matchups on an average basis for these guys. Put Alonso in there as well. Andrew Robertson, even if you've not got Jota, now starting to come back into some form. Shom will be rubbing his hands with glee in Bangalore at this very moment. Now, tell us,
your video froze.
It's normal.
Oh, okay.
They've been doing some work outside. The internet's been on and off all day. Every time they do work, it just crashes. Anyway, right. Okay. Right. Zonal matchups.
Zonals.
So what have we got here? Well, not a lot, actually. I actually think on the left, it's really a bit there's not much. There's no real standouts there. It's all a bit much for muchness. Brighton 3.8, City 3.8, West Ham 3.7 chances expected. Then Everton 3.6, Chelsea 3.6, Man United 3.5, Southampton 3.5. They're all very, very close. I haven't seen this. Normally, we're to get a spread.
Yeah, they're quite close, and they're all quite low.
Yeah. So not a lot there. So I'm not really going to talk about much there. I'm going to go for Chelsea in the middle. Look, 4.1, Liverpool 4. You know, there we go. Is Lukaku going to get something this week? That'll put the cat among the pigeons if all of a sudden if he kicks off, won't it?
Yeah, that'll be good.
It would be good, actually. It would be nice to have another option.
And it'd be nice to have another forward option like that. Make things a little more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal.
It's such a shame about Arsenal.
If you dare go for Aubameyang, God. Might be more chance of going for Lacazette.
I have to say, it's quite an indictment when you're Arsenal and you let players like Patson Daka, you let Leicester sign players like Patson Daka, right? Like sign, I don't know, sign somebody, man. You don't have a center forward. I don't know.
It's not great. It's not great. And on the right, Liverpool 5, the back up to 5 again.
Always.
So we were right last week, or you were right last week. You predicted that it could be a long afternoon, but it took the Van Dijk long ball, which was discussed pre-season on Net That Haul.
Yes,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
to unpick a very, very stubborn Wolves defense.
That direct diagonal ball that Van Dijk hits is irreplaceable. It's they've missed that so much. And kudos actually to Hibbo for he sent me a little message pointing that out. That hey, we talked about this in preseason. It's like
so we'll give him a shout out on that one as well. West Ham 4.2, interesting. Might come up against that might be the chink of light that people need to bring a certain gentleman in a little bit early, although I'm not convinced. Everton 4. Who plays down the right? That prick Gray. Doesn't he play down the left?
Yeah, nobody good on the right.
No.
I mean, maybe Doucouré could.
Yeah,
maybe.
Possibly. You were a bit surprised that Newcastle didn't have a very good matchup, weren't you?
Yeah. Although that right zone for Newcastle is fine. But yeah, I was surprised they were so low in their matchup this week because I kind of like them. I've liked them to score every game week for a little while now, and I think Leicester is just. I mean,
it's that black. It's the black and white. It's the black and white shirts you see. Look.
That's what it is. It's the subliminal.
It's just black. It's just these black and white stripes. That's what it is.
But Leicester have been awful defensively this season. Chalar Soyuncu has been a liability for them back there. I don't know what happened to that guy. He's the anti-Samson. The longer his mullet gets, the longer his Farquad hairdo gets, the worse he gets as a player.
Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
I love that. I have to say, every time I hear that or who got the assist, I just piss myself laughing. People must think I'm a weirdo because I'm walking down the road laughing out loud listening to pods.
Well, I can guarantee people think you're a weirdo, but
no, I'm sure they do. Someone just mentioned, is it time for Rafinha to go? I would argue, yes, it is.
Yeah, for those wondering why he's on the screen, it's
not because I like him.
No.
It's because I actually think this matchup says it's time for him to go.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Leeds' zonal matchups for the next 3 game weeks, or 4 game weeks, 16, 17, 18, and 19, all right, their average they're only going to create 3 chances down that right-hand side. Now, of course, he's heavily involved. Bamford's back. Made an instant impression. I don't think it'll be long before he's back in our thoughts, but probably by game week 20. Because by game week 20, Leeds fixtures start to turn.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are better options than Rafinha. Right now, I think the matchups suggest sell.
And I think that, like you said, the other options suggest sell. Rafinha or Bowen, Rafinha or Bilva, right? Rafinha or who else is in there? Jota, obviously. Gundogan. He's second to all of those. So yeah, they're just and this is where when you're thinking of selling a defender, right? Say you don't want to go big at the back anymore. I think you have to consider what the upside is and like where you're improving elsewhere. I can see a transfer in midfield going Rafinha to any one of those players mentioned, and that's I see that as a significant delta and positive. Yeah. But going Alonso to Reguilon, is that what kind of a delta are you going to get there?
Yeah, it's not so much, is there? There's not so much there. No, you make a valid point. I mean, the problem I've got, I'll come on to I put a poll on Twitter earlier in the week. I've actually dropped it into the slide at the end. It's a nice discussion point, actually. So we'll bring that one up because, I mean, Rafinha is leaving my team this week for sure, unless Smith Rowe is knackered. If Smith Rowe's knackered, I might take him out instead.
Right.
Or in fact, I might take them both out. But we'll see. I don't know that we'll have to. But the one thing for sure is I am pleased, if you are thinking about moves, sit on your bloody hands. If there's ever a week to sit on your hands, it's this one. You could end up getting absolutely crucified if you make all your moves and then all of a sudden something happens. And we've already got the first inklings of problems, right?
There's a lot of information yet to be released.
Yeah, there is. I think let's watch this space. Gabe, coming to you then on the Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure about this. I think I might have to
veto.
I think I might have to disappear.
So
it's Callum,
there you go.
It's Callum Wilson. What's going on?
It's Callum Wilson. I'll tell you why in just a second. So, Callum Wilson is this week's Alchemist. For the podcast listeners, the quote is every blessing ignored becomes a curse. And we're all familiar with the curse of Callum Wilson. You more than many, Mariner. So Callum Wilson is up against Burnley, right? Burnley have conceded the fourth most headed goal attempts with 41. Give me 1 second. They've conceded the third most attempts from set plays, which is 64. They have the fourth most aerial duels lost, which is 279. And Callum Wilson has the most headed goals, 3. He has the joint 7th most headers on goal, 10. He just has a good. I like his headed matchup.
He's going to score a header.
I like his headed matchup this week. We haven't done headed matchups in quite a long time. It's time to bust out that potato salad.
There we go. We'll bust out. I'll bust out the Santa hat. So let's bust out the potato salad while we're at it as well.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I like that. Well, I don't, but I'm going to say I have to sound positive.
I have him in draft, so let's go, Callum.
Fair enough. Look, I mean, to be fair, as I said earlier on, if you had Callum Wilson, if you're thinking about selling, and probably don't on the back of this, I think that's one thing I would say there. And the differential of the week, I really struggled with this, but in the end, I gave way and went for Jared Bowen. 4.1% owned, 6.4 million. Fixture difficulty is not great, as I said, neutral. But it's 5.8 points per 90 away from home, expected. And it's Burnley, and I know they're a decent side. I know Burnley are decent at home, but he is not just one thing I will say about him. Of course, not bringing him in for 1 week, you're bringing him in for a slot. Yeah. And as I said, 18, 19, and 20, their fixtures turn really, really favourable. So I'm not at all against it. Now, would I go Bowen over Bilva? If I didn't own a City midfielder, would I go Bowen over Bilva? I think that's a tougher ask. I think that's a much tougher question.
Right.
I think if I had both, I'd be very happy. But I'm not sure whether I should go Bowen or Bilver. What's your perspective? Where's the upside?
I mean, surely the upside has to be with City, right? And especially their upcoming fixtures. It's yeah, I think. Well, let me get back to Bowen here. I think Bowen at 4.1%. That ownership really surprised me. I thought he was more highly owned because he has been the conversation on Twitter for quite some time. Shout out to FPL Zonal who brought him in this week. Brought him in nice and early. He's been very high on Bowen recently. I like him attacking Burnley's left side, the more vulnerable on that left side. So I do like this shout for the differential of the week. I mean, I think you go with the City attacker though. If you're going one or the other, if you're having to choose, with City's upcoming fixtures, with Bilva's form, he's playing out of his mind right now.
And he's rested. I think he's going to be rested midweek, and I don't think they've travelled. I don't think he's travelled, has he?
Correct. He hasn't travelled.
And neither's Cancelo.
So pretty nailed for the upcoming crunch. I think you still have to go. You still have to go City in that scenario. Yeah. Okay,
fair enough. Good shout. I like that one. So let's see if that one returns. We haven't had a great deal of luck just recently. Well, saying that, neither have I. So anyway, let's have. Should we have a 30-second break and then we'll come back?
Are you craving more FPL content? Then look no further than allaboutfpl.com. Head over there for weekly articles from some of the top content creators on the planet. So what are you waiting for? Head over to allaboutfpl.com, the website for all your FPL needs.
I just realised this Santat's making me quite hot and stuffy in here.
But I think one of the main questions people are asking themselves, just to go back to Bowen really quickly, is whether to double up. If you have Antonio, is Bowen a priority, right? And I think that's a fair question.
I really like, as I said to you, I had Ben Rama and Antonio at the start of the season, and it really paid off.
Yeah,
Antonio's 40% owned.
Is he that much still?
He scores once. He's back to 45% with these fixtures.
Yeah.
Then he's not really much. Then I think you're looking for that differential with those fixtures, and that's why I quite like the idea of doubling up personally.
Right. Yeah,
but I'm not saying it's the. I'm just saying it's a thought. Clearly, we've got Jota, but you can't take him out. This is the trouble with this bloody fast-moving template. You're now left with him, and he's not going to make any benefit to you at all.
Well, I mean, but not having him will significantly hurt you.
Kill you.
There's no reason to get rid of a player like Jota,
unless it goes on a barren spell. If you know when to, if you jump off him at the right time, it'll do you a world of good. But no, you've got a situation where you've got to work with these positions with what slots are left, right? Mm-hmm. So at the moment, I've got Rafinha and I've got Smith Rowe. They're my two slots.
Yeah.
So I've got to decide what to do with those. All right, then. Captaincy. Well, we've hit 80% now, which is what we were trying to do at the start of the season, which is where we always try to achieve, is that 80%. But, I mean, look, let's face it. It's Mo Salah, isn't it? And the captaincy is not going to go anywhere far from this going forwards either, I don't think. But, yeah, 80% now, 266 points, 17.7 points per game week is how the metric's doing. The poll, 77% Salah. Now, I've had a bit of people whinging at me saying, why didn't you go for Son? Well, first things first is that there was the rumour about the COVID. And secondly, the fixture difficulty bloody hates them.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's happening about Brighton, though.
Yeah.
So I think, look, I'm not saying Son's I just think, again, looking at this, look at the difference between Salah and Ronaldo.
I mean, it's
They're playing Norwich.
I have
out loud. They're playing Norwich, and he's 7%.
I mean, How many people
It's madness.
captained Havertz when he played Norwich, right? And what happened then?
Yeah.
They
It's
got
bloody
punished.
madness, though, isn't it? Look at it.
Captaincy's not even like a conversation.
No, it's not even a conversation. No, it isn't really. So anyway, there we go. So we're going to say it's the captaincy poll like Salah. So does the metric. He now has 100% returns. He's returned in every game in the last 12, as we said. Took him a while this week, but he's done it. Fixture is very good, 123. Form 7.6. Yeah. There's two there's the old and the new metric there. Now you can see the old metric actually sat there. Just I didn't hide it by mistake, but anyway, it's there. He would have topped that as well. 116% for return. Yeah, 51% for a little bit of a clean sheet point as well. Mane sitting second. Cancelo third. There we go. Jota fourth. Trent fifth. Vardy sixth. There's only one captain. Quite frankly, there's only one captain. I mean, good luck if you want to go somewhere else. And I know some people have, and some people have managed to get those little bounces out of it. But I think there's more risk than reward.
Yeah, and don't worry, Mariner. Your captaincy metric will be relevant again this season. I know you're sad.
Yeah,
everyone, Mariner's sad about the captaincy metric.
But it'll be all right by the time we get to AFCON.
By the time we get to AFCON, it'll be back.
Yeah, I'll look forward to taking those out with the metric anyway. But yeah, let's see how we go. All right, so that's very, very quick on the captaincy. Hour and 16. Let's get to these questions. The first one we're going to have a bit of a go at, Gabe, is a wild card, and I know we said we were going to do it, but we got a question about Harry Kane pushed Husky Nation 1 at Husky Nation 1 to hit the wildcard button. I don't know if it's been rage or what, but Nima's also wildcarded, hasn't he?
Yep.
But I was going to look at his team and use that for guidance, but then I ended up changing nappies. So I didn't have much of an opportunity. So, I mean, first things first, let me just read this team out and we'll go what he's looking at. He's got Gaeta in goal. He's got James, Trent, Cancelo. He's got Jota, Gundogan, Salah, Fernandes, and Bowen. Mm-hmm. Emphasis on Fernandes. And Antonio and Dennis. And then on the bench, he's got Foster, Davis, Livramento, and Locadia. Locadia's a young pick, is he? By the looks of things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm all right with the defence. I'm certainly all right with the starting defence. Mm-hmm. Those three across. Quite like the Davis pick. Livramento. I don't know about him anymore, quite frankly.
It's his fifth midfielder, defender. Yeah. Whatever.
Mate, if he needed to save a bit of money, he could perhaps go down to Williams there. Jota, Gundogan. Are you happy with Gundogan over Bilver with KDB sort of like on the way back? We know what happened to Gundogan when KDB came back last season, didn't we?
Yeah. If you're going with one City midfielder, I don't think it's Gundogan from what we know at this point. I think it's either Foden or Bilbao.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going with one, it's the one who you can afford out of Foden or Bilbao for me.
Yeah.
If I could afford Foden, I would go to Foden.
I don't know. I don't know necessarily. For me, maybe I may want that money in the bank. I don't know that there would be that much between them. I think there's like 0.7 or something like that between them, something like that.
Bilba's just overperforming so much, though. I'm just that little bit worried that he's going to regress, and I think Foden's actually looks more due to me. When that's just my statistical head switching on. But that says nothing because I also picked Dennis over King, and that's a complete that's a complete oxymoron if you do that. Because let's face it, Dennis over King Dennis is massively overperforming compared to King.
But I think that these claims of over and underperforming, they need context.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, because overperforming could be the fact that you're playing extremely well and putting all the balls into the, smashing the balls into the corner and playing worldy passes, or underperforming could be just dog shit.
And it could be, King has the stats, but his stats are buoyed by one match.
Yeah.
So there's that context as well. What I'll say here is, in regards to this team,
I think I know where you're going. I think you're going to home in on one player, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the obvious one, right? Is Fernandes worth it? You know, he's not on pens. It doesn't seem like they might take turns. We don't know what Rangnick's gonna do as far as pens go, but we know Ronaldo took one. The one that they have had, Ronaldo took it. So paying that much money for Fernandes when you're never gonna captain him and he's not on pens, probably not the best idea. I would probably rather triple up on City. You could go Gundogan and Bernardo Silva if you want. I think that could be interesting.
Or even Foden.
Or you could go down to Foden and you can upgrade
Locadia to somebody, yeah.
Yeah. I think I would look to do that. And then how do you feel about Guaita in goal?
I'm not too worried about it. I've been trying to oppose that all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really. The way that Brighton's in such a mire at the moment, I would have, I could have predicted. I could have really gone with Sanchez. Ramsdale is still a solid reason, but he's getting more expensive now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I think, Gaita or Sanchez. I think for me, look, it's not gonna make a great deal of difference.
I think. Go ahead.
I do like City. I do like Palace at home.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? They're going to play half their games away.
Yeah, of course.
And then it's a similar situation.
So's everybody, and let's face it.
But not everybody has the same home difference between their home and away.
It's not going to make much difference at the end of the season, though, is it?
But what I'm saying is, I think the extra money for Ramsdale is worth it because of the saves, and because of the team in general. I think they will be more solid over the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't think Sanchez is an option because this week that game could be canceled, right? Against Spurs, so Sanchez might not be an option. I would probably spend the extra money on Ramsdale or maybe get the United keeper.
What?
Yes, sir. So if you look at United,
what time is it there? You can't drink at that time in the morning. Seriously?
Well,
you're Manchester United keeper. You pissed?
So United, they've let's see.
No way, man.
Why not? Let's hear it.
To be fair, look, I'm pulling your leg. I have heard some people talking him up, but I don't know. I can't justify spending the money.
He's the same price as Ramsdale.
Is he? Is he 4.9 now?
No, I mean, I don't know. He might be 5, but whatever. 0.1. It's the same price bracket. It's the same price point.
Yeah.
So and their upcoming fixtures are good, right?
Well, yeah. I just think there's. Yeah, I don't know. I've got this insane wish to bring Luke Shaw back into my team when he starts playing again.
That's madness.
Come on. Anyone but De Gea. I mean, there's rumours that he might.
Luke Shaw's not even playing. He's been benched for 10 years.
I'm not bringing any Manchester United players in anytime soon. Well, maybe one, but I don't know. Yeah. All right. We'll let
that percolate a little bit. We'll talk about it next time.
You've blindsided me a bit. Anyway, there we go. Dennis over King, just to finish off.
Sorry, Dennis over King?
Dennis or King?
Dennis for me.
Yeah, Dennis for you.
100%, yeah. Even if he's playing on the wing there, I still like the savings more. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we've spent a bit of time on that. So anyone who's wildcarding, I know there's a few people, so hopefully that's been useful for them. Let's go on to these Twitter takes then. We're just going to have we'll fire around these for 5 minutes and then we'll take a couple of questions and we'll get out of here. I'm going to go first of all with my poll, right? The first poll was, I wasn't even checking my rank because I was that pissed off, but looking at exit routes from Kane and Rafinha. So Ronaldo, Bernardo Agundo and Williams -4, right? With Livramento leaving the side as well. Watkins, a City midfielder, and Rashford for a -4, or Rashford comes in later for no cost. Or Watkins, a City midfielder, and Bowen, with Smith Rowe departing as well. The poll went with a City midfielder, Bowen, and Watkins. 41 or nearly 42%. 35% went for Ronaldo. Where are you on this one? Would you redistribute the wealth from Kane, or would you go to Ronaldo?
I would go with C. I would redistribute. I would go Watkins, a City mid, and Bowen. And the reason being, similarly to Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo is he's premiumly priced. Now, Mark from the Black Box, Mark Southerns, he did talk about Ronaldo being a flat track bully, and he is. But I expect Ronaldo to play maybe 2 out of 3 games. So you're getting 2/3 of a player for the premium price, and it's a player you'll never captain. It's a no for me. And I'm not saying it's a bad pick, because I do think he's going to get points. I think he's going to beat some of these bad teams up. But I think other players are going to get points too. I think the City mids are going to get points. I think Bowen will get points. And I think Watkins will tick along and be decent value. So it's C, Watkins, City mid, and Bowen for me.
Okay. Well, I'm siding that way as well, because it would probably be Foden would be my City midfielder as well. So I would be going Foden, Bowen, Jota, Salah, and Brownhill across midfield. Quite like that.
No,
and I've
good.
got those 4 strong defenders as well, and Livramento, and then up front I'll have Dennis, Antonio, and Watkins.
Yeah, that's great. You'll have Livramento, Dennis, and Brown.
Money in the bank. And money in the bank.
So you have Livramento, Dennis, and Brownhill on the bench most weeks, and you'll be in a 4-4-2. It's good.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's go for the next question. Well, Akib, how to get to Son, Ron, and Salah?
How to get Son, Ron, and
Sell
Salah?
all the play. Sell someone. I think the point here is, where are you going to make your sacrifices if you're going to do this, and is it worth it? Well, we've already said that you're not convinced it's worth it, Gabe, because we're going to be captaining Salah anyway. I think Son is all right. I actually quite like that, provided that they're, I'm not saying do it this week now, or certainly maybe hold off till late. You find out what's happening.
I think he's been confirmed out. I think Rubber Ducky meant.
Let's not do it this week. But I'm not saying Son's a bad pick.
If he has COVID, he could be out for 2 weeks, and that's what 3 game weeks, 3 or 4 game weeks.
I'm not saying we're doing it this week.
No, but what I'm saying is, if he has COVID, you can't do it next week either, because he'll probably be out, and there will be midweek games as well. He's going to miss those as well. So Son is a hard sell if there's COVID.
Players getting COVID now could miss 3 or 4 game weeks.
Exactly, that's my point, because they're so close together that missing 1 week is probably 2 game weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right then. So Manchester United assets from FPL Robbie at Robman Gunsong. Robman Gunsong. Okay. In that Dutch
I would read it Robman Unsung.
Robman Gunsong. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. There you go. Cool off, man. You're sweating.
Man United assets with their great fixtures coming up. De Gea, you just said.
There it is.
Dalot, Dalot, Fred, with a funny face. Sancho, Rashford, Bruno, Ronaldo. To me, I'll answer this one. To me, they're a watch and wait. I'm still not convinced. Where are you?
I'm going to put your feet a bit to the fire here. If there were one, who would be the one?
Rashford.
I agree with you.
Rashford.
I agree with you.
If he's playing centralish, then it's interesting, and he is proven. Whereas Sancho at the moment hasn't really fired, has he?
I don't know. I think Sancho has. I think Sancho is finally understanding the team he's playing with now that the team has a better identity. But Sancho's going to be a little bit more withdrawn. He's going to be wider. Rashford will be in a front two. I think Rashford will play almost all the time because he's been rested most of the season. And Ronaldo may switch with Cavani. Greenwood could get involved in one of the midfield two or one of the front two. But
actually, that's an interesting point. If he's nailed, Greenwood's my pick.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be nailed, but definitely keep your eye on
No, he's not.
Greenwood.
But Greenwood would be my pick if indeed he started to get minutes. I would be looking to get Greenwood back in.
But of these, I like Rashford the most because he is further forward and he's rested. But I think Sancho's a decent shout too because he's on some set pieces now.
Yeah. All right. And the question from Asa at Asa149. He's already sorted his issues with Benrahma and Rafinha. He's obviously flogged them. Now he's got 3 more issues. Tony, Gallagher, and Kane. Well, I say Gallagher for me is a hold. What should I do with them? Well, Gallagher I would hold. You might not have an option, but hold. I hope. I mean, is Spurs game going to even go ahead? Would you sell Kane if you had other fires to put out this week? Do you know what? I probably wouldn't. If the game's going to go ahead, I'd probably, because I think that there's a chance he could really hurt the Mariner this week. There's always that chance he could just cause a monstrous rant next week, Gabe. But I mean,
now I kind of hope that happens.
No, please don't. Please don't. But look, Tony's got COVID. If Kane's game's off, then he's a sell as well. Probably you're probably gonna have to do something. So I think it's a watch and wait. But I don't know. I might hold Kane if in his position. What about you?
I mean, Ace has already taken a 4-point hit. Anything else will be a -8. If you can get 11 players out there, don't take any more hits. Just get them out there and then figure things out as next week or something like that. If you can't get 11 players out there, then obviously just wait and hold. If you sell Tony, Tony for sure is not going to play. So if you sell Tony, depends where you can go from Tony. Otherwise, if you wait and find out Kane's not playing, then you can go anywhere from Kane. You could go to Vardy. You could go
Fair enough. Well, we're gonna have a first of all, we're gonna have a laugh at somebody. So absurdologist.
Here we go, Zach.
Just one question, guys. Since I used my 2 free transfers when I was drunk last night, first time this season, I do early transfers. No, I have about 4 flags. It's the need for it. So just ride the wave. I would suggest have another drink, mate.
Exactly.
Just stay perpetually pissed till the weekend, till after the deadline, and then don't care
till after the new year because 4 flags, a bunch of hits, you're screwed.
Oh my! I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a tough place to be in, isn't it? It's really difficult. I mean, if they're out, remember it's only a 2-point hit, not a 4-point hit. That's the way I look at it. If they're completely out, and also keep a strong view and eye on how many players are likely to be, how many hits are likely to happen. You might be able to get away with a -8 without too much pain.
And the other thing I'd say to be mindful of is how you're setting up your team for the future. So don't just be reactive and make a transfer just because a player's out or something. Make sure that the player you're bringing in fits into a future plan as well. All
right. So we'll try and take a few questions. I'm not sure if you've seen any in there, Gabe. The chat's quite lit, actually. So
it is. It is lit. We got a bunch of new people joining. Penguins in here, Rubber Ducky, Anthony Chung, Zach, Astrologist. Dallas is in here. What's up, guys? Amund has joined us. So it's but there were some questions. Let me move this.
There were. I'm just trying to. You keep going. You keep looking for them as well. I'm just going to trundle up at the top. I think.
Okay.
If you start from the bottom, if you see any, I'll start from the top as well.
There's one from Amund at 26 past the hour. How do we think KDB return will affect Bilva's position?
I'll defer that one to you, Mr. Coach.
Right. I mean,
I've hardly seen City play recently, to be honest. It's always been late at night.
The thing about Bilva, and one of the reasons he's playing so well, is he's playing multiple positions at maybe the highest level in the league. So when he's in central midfield, he's one of the best central midfielders in the league. When he's playing at one of the wings, he's one of the best wingers in the league. So I don't think De Bruyne's return will affect Bilva too much, because I think Bilva has made it where he's as integral to this team as KDB has been in the past. At least this season he is. So I think it would affect more Gundogan's positioning, and it could make Gundogan more defensive. The fixture crunch could make the team tired, which could also make Pep go a little bit more conservatively and make Gundogan hold a little bit. But I don't think it'll affect Bilva's positioning too much.
Fair enough. We're going to wish Akib happy birthday for tomorrow as well. Happy birthday, Akib. Have a wonderful day from all at Net That All.
Happy birthday, Akib. It's almost tomorrow somewhere.
It nearly is tomorrow there. Yeah, absolutely. Right. What else have we got? Any others? Bilva is last season's Gundogan. Show us your Christmas tree. No. It's in the other room. Wait, the little room. Many people are looking at getting Ronaldo whilst I pick up double Watford attack for 1 million less. Double Watford attack. I mean, I know there's one or two people doing this. I just think I can't see the joy, the logic in it. Really, they are all right, but they're not that good.
It's about value, right? If we're undecided between King and Dennis, maybe both is not such a bad idea, given that both of them would cost.
You could bench them both. I suppose you could bench them both.
Yeah, I mean, if you have both of them and somebody like Antonio or a Vardy or something like that, then
we've got a couple of decent fixtures. Yeah, it's not that bad thinking about it. I don't know. It's just something that I don't know. A bit too much yellow in my team, that would be.
Yeah, I think it's worth considering, as long as your third forward is, obviously a nailed talismanic type player.
Okay, FPL Dallas, Bernardo Silva, Watkins, or Antonio. I want to pick one of them on my wildcard.
Dallas, would Bernardo Silva be your only City mid? If you have another City mid, then I would go Antonio. If you don't have another City mid, then go Bernardo Silva. That's my view. What do you think, Mariner?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Antonio's, as much as Antonio, we've said he looks maybe a little bit off it, but he's got some easy fixture coming, and you have to back him to get to. He could have easily returned this last week. Right, what else have we got? Tony and Smith Rowe to Dennis and Bowen.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Anthony, not sure this has been discussed as I joined late, but is Ronaldo a must-have? We did discuss it, and our view is no.
Our view is he's a must-not-have.
No, I didn't say must not have. No, you said must not have.
I didn't say that. It's a joke.
I didn't say must not. I'm actually still considering him, but I'm only considering. But the trouble is, if I could have moved to him and if I could have got Bernardo and Ronaldo without a hit, I would probably have gone that route.
Ronaldo?
Ronaldo and Bernardo, yeah, but I can't do it without a hit.
Ronaldo. So Anthony, what I mentioned earlier was that Ronaldo will play probably 2 out of every 3 games. So you're paying a premium price for a player you'll never captain that will only play 2/3 of the matches. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to fade him, and I'll be hiding behind the couch because I know he will destroy these.
And when he returns, I will fly across to Phoenix.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully he returns.
You won't like it when it arrives, though.
I was going to say, hopefully he returns this weekend.
Okay, Dallas has Foden. So Antonio probably then. I mean, and Bowen, interestingly. So does he go double City or double West Ham?
Double City. I vote double City over double West Ham. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. I wouldn't be able to because I've got 4 City then.
Well, you can't go double City.
I've got that pain in the ass.
Abhilash asked a question: can Wolves keep City to 2 goals or less?
I think they can.
I think they can as well.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can. They can make it difficult for them. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Let's
Are we
see.
about done?
Let's see.
Be quick, guys. You've got 2 minutes to get your questions in. If not, we're going.
Yeah. Looking back, we answered a lot of them in the flow here.
Yeah, I think we did. I think that was good the way we did it. I think we dealing with those questions earlier. Gabe, that's it then. Let's get out of here. 1 hour 40. I think it's time to go. Unless any more questions appear between now and then, which we can answer in 1 minute between us. Thank you very much for coming.
Pleasure.
As always, nice to see you. Managed to get your coffee heated up just in time.
Just in time.
That's the main thing. Guys, thank you very much for joining, Haulers. I hope you've enjoyed the matchup show this week. If you haven't smashed that like button, please do. If you are the one who keeps disliking us, keep doing it, because we don't mind, because it actually makes it all real, because nobody can like us all. Right?
You're right. Maybe I'll go dislike it. We can dislike ourselves. It's not me, man. It's not me. Don't look at me like that. I promise you.
All right. No. No. Let's just get the usual bits and bobs out of the way. I am FPL.
Oh, wait. There's one last question. One last question. We got to get this one in. Amund.
Where?
Is Catch-22 an overrated book? It's a good question. It's not.
Oh, no idea. I only read books about shipping.
Come on, man.
I don't bloody read books. I spend all day reading bloody reports. I can't stand reading. I hate it.
Well, Catch-22.
I've got bookshelf full of books, and they're just all sat there. I don't read any of them.
I haven't read it in decades. Joseph Heller. But from what I remember, it's a good book. I don't think it's overrated. I'd have to go back, though. But that's a good question. Thanks for that, Amund.
Yeah. And I might actually have a look at it. I do read a little bit, but tend to just read books that I'm very, very interested in anyway. There we go. Right. Okay. I'm FPL Mariner. Gabe is at FPL Lens. You'll catch us at Twitter. Also, Nima at FPL Nima as well. He's wildcard, and keep an eye out for his wildcard. We are Net That Haul. Pick us up on your pods, wherever you get them. Also, hit us up on Instagram, and of course, follow us on Twitter if you don't already. Follow them as Net That Haul as well, at Net That Haul. So yes, if you haven't hit that like button, please do. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. Hit the bell as well. But apart from that, I am going to play our brand new little outro again, because it's all got nice new graphics. Did you see it, Gabe?
I have not seen it, I don't think.
Oh, well, yeah. Look at this then.
Let's have a look-see.
Bye, everyone. See you. All the best, guys. Bye-bye. Green arrows, please. No more shitty point. And Harold Kane, if I take you out,
you've lost your...
There you go. I said if I take him out and he performs, then we are dead, right? It'll kill me.
Never call him sir again.
Yeah, as always.